Episode 19.
What's up, shitbags? Welcome back. Episode 19, like Brennan just said, almost on 20. It'll be great. Hitting a year, and we're just going to
Double
keep chugging. It's
digits?
great. It's awesome. 19's double digits, Brennan.
Yeah, but we're going to get 20, so it's going to be even better.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I mean, as always, we'll get right into everything. Thank you so much. We got Taylor Sins, our sponsor. His episode just posted yesterday, so hopefully everybody check that out. The last one, I mean, he was awesome. It was exactly what you expect Taylor Sins to be. So I hope everybody enjoyed that. Just a great overall guy. I mean, the culture he's got at the business is that you want in a firehouse. We had lots of discussions on that, and it was so awesome. Huge thank you to Jobtown, who that's going to be one of our next guests. So he's going to be 2 episodes from now, three episodes from now. Yeah. But we'll be recording with him soon. So send in some questions from him. It's going to be great. Keep going. We got all the sponsors because Jeremy shortly after, and we just got to spend a couple days with Jeremy down at MAFC in Atlanta, and my God, that was awesome. That was
a good training.
That was great.
I got my ass handed to me.
We both did. Training. Yeah. If any of you, especially new firefighters, we talked about it. If developing tactical resiliency comes by you, Rick George is lead instructor. Jeremy helps teach it with a bunch of other people. I'm sure there was much more instructors than were actually there with us. Take it. We're not gonna spoil anything, but you're gonna get your ass handed to you. You're gonna learn a lot about yourself, and the earlier you're taking into career, the better you're gonna be able to handle the shit we go through. And that was, my God, that was
an eye opener. It was an eye opener. So
yeah. So developing tactical resiliency, take that course.
I think the next one is firemanship in July.
Yeah.
So I think they're down there. So
awesome.
Yep. Take it.
Yeah, having a good time with meeting all the sponsors and getting to hang out with everybody who's helped get this 19 episodes in. So it's been awesome. And without further ado, we'll stop talking about ourselves and this and bring in the man of the hour. So let's bring him on in. David, how's it going?
Oh, doing great. How are y'all doing?
Good.
Fantastic.
Good.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Been on the job for a little over 22 years. Second generation fireman. I grew up around the job through my dad's career, and then got in myself. And I currently work an hour south of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, a little city called Hillsboro. We know daily we're right around 12 to 15,000 people. The sign still says just at right under 9,000. But we're a full service 911 district. I mean, we do just about everything that can be done on a just regular enough basis to keep it interesting every day. I'm currently over all fire EMS and special operations. And then I serve as our assistant emergency manager. And so it's a full plate every day, managing the men and women that work in the divisions underneath me and beside me. And yeah, I love doing it and hope to keep doing it until my body just says we can't anymore.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. It was great. We got to, officially meet you down in Wichita. Like we've been able to talk about so many of these cool people and cool guests we've gotten to meet from these outside trainings. So it was really cool hanging out, and we're glad you could join us on here.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll hop right into our first question. Still a little bit talking about yourself. You mentioned you're second generation, but how did you end up in the fire service?
Well, it was kind of, like I say, my dad was in it. So every day of my life basically was somehow with him. He started out actually in like 71, funeral home ambulance driver, and so we'd go visit him at the substation. And then when he got into actual fire and EMS, a couple of years later, we moved to the small city that at the time was on the south end of Dallas-Fort Worth. Everything's kind of absorbed into it. And it was the quintessential just small town fire department, combination department. Almost every event in the city somehow had the fire department involved. And so my mom was a part of the auxiliary. We were constantly up there, doing either fill the boot or doing, the fish fries, all that stuff that goes along with, a small town combination department. And then even before that, he was a buff, and every day off, we were following fire trucks and, there's probably pictures out there of him holding me, like literally like 18-month-old me on his shoulders. And we're watching at the end of our street, the street would come past our street. Fort Worth Pump and Truck 17 would be coming by, and just old open cab rigs and, mid-mount trucks, and so just every day was that. And I speak on passion. Literally, there was like a hook in the middle of my chest. Every time I heard that Q2 wind up, every time that, the Detroit diesel, I'm having to go to the window, having to do this stuff. I was in education, my degrees in education. And I was sitting there thinking every day, and it's not that I wasn't happy, not that I wasn't anything. It's like, man, I want to be on a fire truck. I want to be doing this job. Every day I'm trying to incorporate something into that. I just made the decision, okay, I'm going to go for it. And I haven't looked back, and I'll tell you, my degree has helped me so immensely. One of the few firefighters out there that actually has an education degree. There are more, and I've met more out there that have them. A ton of guys have degrees, but having that actual in-depth training into some of the education components that actually make classes, make outlines and programs, has helped me out so much over the years, and especially with just presentation styles. So yeah, I got in, and like I say, in August, I'll have 22 years with Hillsboro, and, have been loving every minute of it, and have been able to turn around and, pretty quickly early on in the career, start teaching classes. I was in my late 20s. So I was not the I don't even know if it's stereotypical, but I was not an 18-year-old, new boot coming in. And actually a couple of questions you're going to ask later, I'll tell you how that had its own difficulties. Being a little bit older, coming into the job was not the easiest transition that I could have allowed myself to make. But, it's, you bump into people that you feel are programmed to do certain things. And ever since I was a little kid, I had an old set of my dad's bunker gear at the end of my bed, and just knew one night as he was running out, he would walk out the door, throw me his old pager that they had, and I would listen to the fires. I knew one of these days he was going, come on, son, let's go, and I still have not lost that childlike, with the storms coming in, we were talking about earlier, I'll be listening to 16s. If I hear them screaming that cue, they've got their medical response. Okay, they're just kind of working the electric, screaming that cue. Okay, they're going to a job. I'll probably flip on the little scanner on the phone, see where they're going to work. If you see me get up and run out, it's because there's a fire close, and I'm going to go watch fire and fire truck. Rescue One FDNY, just spent a couple of days up there. My wife had a conference. She's like, "What are you going to do?" I was like, "I'm going to walk to every fire station I can walk to." On the island on Manhattan, and I did. I went to 6 stations and just talked fire and just heard stories and let new guys that met 2 guys not even 2 months out of the academy show me your engine. Go ahead and ask me the questions. And they had questions for me. I had questions for them. Man, let's get better at this job together. And how exciting, 19-year-old kid that's he's in Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
Greatest job in the world, in the nervousness. They haven't had their first fire. How that doesn't generate, how you have a morale problem at all if you have those young guys and gals that are so hungry, that to want this, how that doesn't rejuvenate people's batteries all day long. I don't get it.
Absolutely.
And it's that new car smell. You never want that to go away. And, when I bump into people that, hey, what are we going to do with the new guy? Man, soak that youth up. That is the fountain of youth for any of us that are aging. Be around young guys and gals that are working, find work. If you're not going to work, find work, and so anyways, first rabbit of the day.
That was awesome. Yeah, kind of like you mentioned, I'm sure this is where you're going to get into a little bit with your differences, but what did you do as a new member to earn the respect of your crew?
So I loved it. I've listened to, obviously y'all's podcast, knew this question was coming. Everybody talks, I listen to the guys, oh, I worked, I kept quiet of this. I walked in, I thought I knew everything because I'd already for over 20, almost 30 years, 27, 28 years, I had seen my dad do this job. I'd been around the guys and gals he worked with, and he was fortunate to be at just good, busy houses and bigger stations. He was a chief's aide for a long time. So I saw people working. So I had an expectation of what that was supposed to look like when I got to my first fire stations, and the immediate smack to the face, whoa, slow down. What are you doing? That's not what we do. This isn't your dad's state. Everything, I heard it over and over.
Yeah.
And, and when I got to Hillsboro, I was fortunate. I got assigned pretty quick to a captain, and shout out to Captain Murray, because he was one of the first captains and first just shift officers that said, you know what? Every one of you is different. We're going to embrace that. We will not have a mold that we're going to cram you into. We're going to embrace that. So, prior to that, heck yeah, hey, are we going to stretch this hose? Hey, are we going to look at this? We're going to do more than the morning checkoff training, because I'd had that. Hey, you didn't check the truck. You don't know how to work this. I'm hoping that, this is about to be life and death. That's what I'm anticipating and expecting. Can we go over it a little more than me just, okay, yeah, the wrench, the set of wrenches is there. All the adapter, every little screw on or tap on place has the adapter. Okay, great. Hey, when do we need to actually use this specific adapter? Well, you'll know when we get there. And I was like, crap. Okay, I don't know if we're going to know. And like I say, it was, and all that was butting up against, like I say, and not overplaying my dad's experiences. They went out and trained what I now know on some of the most basic stuff with their young guys and gals at his engine house. And, and he was at a big station, so engine, truck, battalion. They trained on some of the most basic stuff because it was those building blocks that added up to the advanced thought processes they were going to do, but they took out of the way. So, man, I got in there. It's like, hey, I want to do this, this, and this. And as I met those, I don't want to say brick walls, but as I met those areas that we were miscommunicating, and then we had missed communications because you'd be out there doing something they didn't know you were doing, or you were looking up stuff. And then, of course, over 20 years ago, the internet is taking off big. And there's guys out there, VES.com and some of the other pages. It's not just getting the Firehouse magazine. You're now getting all the additional stuff, and you're able to, even the shallow end of the pool that the internet was in the early 2000s. Okay, hey, I bumped into this guy. He wrote these other 2 or 3 articles. Hey, there's this guy named Andy Fredericks. Hey, there's this guy named this. Whoa, slow down. And I was like, man, I don't want to slow down. Let's hit this. And so, yeah, a different story. To earn the respect of the guys, I'm still fighting every day and grinding. I will tell you on our shift, when we got with Captain Murray, what we valued was work. And your ability when the bells went off, very few of us, himself included, we didn't wear collar brass. We didn't wear nameplates. You worked. And that determined your positioning and your effort and your abilities on our shift. And of course, when we would swing out or we'd get guys swing over, oh, let me guess, B shift. And you're like, no, this is simply the way we do it. And we took the time, and it was not met with great applause. There was no, at the Christmas party that year, they weren't handing us plaques. We came up with our own terminologies for things. And of course, we said some of this ridiculousness on the radio. If whoever was dressing the hydrant, and of course, Bring It On, the cheerleading movie had come out. So when you wanted your water, bring it. And the driver would, it's already been brought, and we're saying this stuff, on the radio, and of course, the ridiculousness that it is outside of it, but the esprit de corps we had as a unit,
Oh yeah.
Off the charts, and had members coming in, hey, we want to be a part of that. And now that came with price. That came with a certain level of grief. When we got stroked by admin, it was good, and well deserved. I will never say it wasn't well deserved, but I will say Cap asked us one day what we wanted our legacies to look like, and were we doing things in those moments to be carrying somebody's legacy. We've been around since the 1880s, carrying legacy, building legacy, and preserving legacy. And he wanted he wanted all of us that worked for him to have the ability to promote. And I will tell you, almost to a T, every individual that was a part of that couple of years of our shift, whether they're still in our organization or they've moved on to other organizations, or bosses where they're at. And so incredibly proud of that legacy that he instilled in us. And mine, honestly, and I've altered it a little bit. Eric Allen, fast forward, he challenged me on one of it. I don't want to bump into anybody and not let them know, hey, here's all the different ways to maybe do this. I have to work on that message, because I don't ever, however you're doing it, it's not that it's not working, but man, there's 10, 15 ways to do this. And I've been so fortunate through my, just a lifetime, over 50 years of being around this job, to see so many ways to do things that, a lot of us, we're stumbling through things, and you see people doing something that's just, oh my gosh, that is the answer to our problem. Or at least an extra solution to what we've got going that may shave seconds or minutes off our responses to things. So yeah, it's not the typical answer. I did not keep my mouth shut. I was not that guy who just hunkered. Now, I hunkered down and worked every day, but I want to know why we're doing things. And that's not always met with the best of
you were the first of the new generation. That's what we've talked about. That's what we always ask. It's not, we just had this conversation down at MFC. Like, the why was, we have, as most of the people from our generation and younger, is not like why. It's why. Okay, I'm going to do it, but why? Back then, you question somebody's order, that was like, what? Oh, what'd you just say? But we aren't questioning the order. We're going to do it. We just want to know why too. Like, we don't want to just do it because I said so.
Not only question the order, like I said, the early internet stuff, because we were definitely the generation, 20, 25 years ago, coming out of academy, you do not Monday morning quarterback stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, now with all the film and all the footage, okay, you're there live with those guys and gals. And you almost have to ask, okay, how did I totally get in the blur of life how you miss things? I get that.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you back up from that? Did they not see this, and this to be making the decisions they're making? So now the Monday morning quarterbacking, no. Monday morning questions, good, rough questions. Yeah. Okay, how did you get to this decision? Tell me what you were thinking. I know what you did. I can't change what you did, but tell me what you were thinking, and let's work on thought processes based off of radio, film, all this other stuff. You can go on the internet right now and find somebody fighting the exact fire or running the exact same medical you just ran. Okay, wow, let's see what they did. First mistake, okay, it's something, I'll say a million of my dad's stuff. The first time the dog bites you, it's his fault. Every time after that, you're doing something. We can't afford second and third repeats that aren't turning into successes.
For sure. You hit on it on pretty well, because we've had the conversation with us and around here is because, with us going to all these outside trainings and stuff, and especially with me doing a lot of teaching in the department, and Brennan's starting to do too, is you get passionate when like you've learned a new technique or something you see wrong. Like, I think especially in the first, you got to be really careful with coming at that. Like, oh, this is the way. Like, there's, like you said, there's 10 to 15 different ways to do it. But when you see someone doing it, something, maybe not wrong, but maybe less efficient for that scenario, like maybe it works great for a different one. and you come over and you're like, hey, do this, do this, do this, people take that as like, oh, you're saying this is the way that I have to do it? It's like, no, there's
a million ways.
There's tons of different ways to do it.
What I tell my guys, it may work and it may be working and it might not work for us.
Yeah.
There's, and if we find the thing that works for us, well, heck yeah, why would we not want to do those things? I had a brand new firefighter, and I'm that guy. I like asking the questions. And I asked him, if you go to a class and you come back and you've learned something that we're not doing, are we wrong? And he said, yeah, I think you might be. I was like, okay, bold move, Cotton. I'll bite.
Let's see how it works out.
I was like, what if our way still works? I cannot even begin to tell you how much fire I've put out with crappy hose, high pressure, pistol grip, power stream, power cone. I've put out a ton of fire in the last 2 decades. The efficiency at which my water application is improved as I've learned better nozzle techniques and stream application, 100%. Mm-hmm. I'm not a nozzle salesman. Y'all have seen the videos of the guys I get to run with and play with. I've been able to use some really neat stuff that's coming out in the fire service. Man, when I was y'all's age, I was looking for minutes shaved off of this masterpiece I was painting. And if it wasn't going to get me that, oh, okay, that must not be this. At over 50 years old, 2 decades into this job, man, what I wouldn't give for seconds. And if you add up seconds per feet of travel time, nobody gripes about throwing ladders when it's 10 feet from the truck. Where y'all are at, you go to Prince George County and you're going to the backside of a garden apartment and you're going to drag 3 ladders 100 yards. Yeah, I'm probably going to buy the lighter ones all day long.
Right.
You're making 20, 30-foot hallway pushes. Every 5 feet that you're able to throw large water droplets off these newer nozzles that are coming out. Okay, that's seconds that I'm gaining every time I move that nozzle. Man, that's energy that I'm not having to expend. I'm longer in my gear. We know that to be fact. Mm-hmm. Okay, we do these little BS 5-minute training drills, and which are good. I'm not saying they're not good. But you don't allow your people to be thermally loaded like they're going to be when they're having to make an extended push. Okay, well, great. But at the same time, do they know what that feels like? Because all your evolutions stop before they even get close to the end of a bottle, end of exhaustion, end of thermally loaded, all those things, So anyways, 19th rabbit. So
yeah. To quote,
good, though.
I'm sure he wasn't the first one, but John Hatcher, we just got to hang out with him at Sawdust, and he got to teach a little impromptu class, and he kept talking about it, and kind of one of his things was the seconds save minutes and minutes save lives.
Absolutely. And look exactly at your gear. Ounces equal pounds, pounds adds up to pain. And
I like that one.
Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna skip down to the bottom of our generic questions, because this is the one that we've talked about. We love that no explanation, and you've watched some episodes, so you maybe kind of have a little more insight on it. But why are we here?
I think we are here to serve. That's always been my go-to answer. Once again, props to my dad. This isn't the Steve Pruitt hour by any stretch. But people ask, did he teach you all these cool firefighting things? And granted, we still talk about fire. He did 38 years, taught basically fire history for Arlington's academies for another 10 years, and then he's just out there in the business still, just learning. At over 40 years, just around the job. He taught me how to serve, and I think we are here because people run out of answers. And now, have we added things to our service capabilities that we're not the best at? Yeah. And that's something we've got to look at as an industry, because I definitely think that we need to look at rebranding ourselves. We have to be a fire first culture. I do not believe we're the only people that put out fire. There's ample video footage out there of total strangers are total just random people dressed like we are right now, going and do what we said we would come and do. And there's more than enough footage of fire departments out there standing in the yard as people's property and lives are lost. Man, we got to look at what we are swearing that oath to. So service for me is the answer, and that encompasses all these other words that you look at when you, hey, what does a leader look like? What does this look like? So the biggest thing you have to understand with being a servant is compassion. And the other C for me is convenience. I am giving up my convenience. I'm sacrificing my convenience for you. That's something that we don't have to publicize. We don't have to, there shouldn't be a t-shirt out there for that at all in the t-shirt club of life. I'm going to miss meals. I'm going to miss birthdays. I'm going to miss stuff to guarantee that the people that visit my city and live in my city are able to make birthdays and able to have meals and do those things. And, you know, and if you're fortunate to make a career out of that, or you're in and out in just a day, if you don't get that, like I've said numerous times before, I don't understand why you're showing up. You know, do I want the buzzer to say things when it goes off? Absolutely. Do I want it to be, you know, one of our facilities calls? No, of course not. I want it to be smoke showing every time, you know, and good calls and wrecks and whatever. Man, every time that buzzer goes off, that's an ability and an opportunity for my agency to serve proudly, serve well. You know, I mentioned in a presentation I did recently, and I don't live up to this. I'm not going to be hypocritical and say I do every time. Man, if the person I went and served at the end of that call wrote me my entire salary off that one call, man, would I be better prepared? Would I have performed more proficiently and accurately? Would I have asked better questions? Would I have shown up at shift going, you know what, I'm pretty confident I know what the next 5 calls are going to be. Hey, let's go out in the bay and train on this. And when the guys and gals are like, are you sure we should train on this? You know what? Yeah. We know we're going to be asked to go help Mrs. Smith today. Help her husband up off the ground. Let's work on a few better. Hey, wow. Bryce, what better? You just went to a class. Y'all went over lifting techniques. What did y'all look at? Because we know what our number one injuries are. They're lifting injuries on medicals. Wow. Hey, wow, we saw this piece of equipment. Let's put in a requisition for one of these man tarps, the multitude of man tarps that are out there. Or you know what? Let's just go ahead and show up and just make this be a shit show. Yeah. Not only in their front yard, but in their this, their that. Hey, we've been having these problems with some of our hydrants. You know what? Let's go over and get a can of paint. I don't know why. We got hydrants dating back to the teens. Some of them spin the other way. You know what? Let's get a can of paint. And when we go check hydrants this year, everyone that spins the other way gets a green. The bonnet gets painted green or something on there indicates that this one's left instead of right or right, whatever it is. And, you know, and do I, as a chief officer, hey, water department, as you get to change this one at the corner or whatever, it'd be handy if they all spun the same direction. Simply would. Not a practical ask some days. Hey, I need you to tear up 400 hydrants and make them all spin the other way, match the other 1,000. Probably not going to happen. Yeah. I'm out $10 a paint. Great, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, serving.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. It's kind of cool how, you know, Brent and I have talked about this before, especially when we go to these other trainings or they're like, for some reason, it seems like, and maybe it's just you're more aware of it, whenever you go somewhere and learn something and then you start talking to other people, like it's all on that same topic, or like it just gets pounded in. Cause like we got to see Peppers, Caleb Smith, a lot of presentations at MAFC before the hands-on, and a lot of it was servant based. I mean, there was the Loretta Pickard story. There was one of the random guy that just saw a house on fire and he saved like 4 kids from the building, not a fireman, and all of them was about serving and taking the oath. I mean, there was the interviews with the nieces. They're like, that's their job. Nobody made you to be a firefighter.
Yep.
Like that. And she's she suffered a loss, but that was her first interaction with the fire department, and she was upset with us because we didn't live up to her standard, and that was, I think she hit it right on the head. Like, we didn't get drafted. I just saw posts on it on Facebook. Like I was saying, it's crazy that everything just, you're also more aware of all this conversation that's going on when you start talking to everybody.
No, absolutely, and you see those guys and the names you've mentioned. You bump into the people that want recognition, and they're out there, and servants serve. The majority of them, they serve quietly and diligently. And it's neat. My dad brought it up, and I'm actually adding it into my presentation. This guy named was Lenny Skutnik, I think it was his name. Look him up. When the airplane crashed in the Potomac in the 80s, he's surrounded by all these DC, Virginia firemen, and one of the individuals being rescued falls off the raft or the buoy or whatever. This total civilian in the middle of winter with 20, 30 firemen around him dives in the water and makes his rescue. I mean, like that.
Yeah.
And when we snap our finger these days, that Terminator screen, if y'all, dating myself to that movie that pulls up, ooh, am I going to be safe on this? Am I going to be safe on that? I'm going to be safe on this. You're more liable to have a firefighter tell you how to make coffee quicker than how to run in and do a quick rescue and do a quick search profile and do, stretch their line efficiently, do the best thing for a victim drag, do the best quick rapid assessment. And I love overlaying these things in the classes I get to teach. That rapid trauma assessment, rapid medical assessment, I've got people that are more fearful in my peer group, not necessarily who I work with, more fearful of the QA/QI process, dinging them for not doing something within the first couple of minutes. That, oh, wow, what's a stroke look like? Oh, wow, what's this? And definitely that stuff's important. It's the same stuff on the fire ground. My house, my structural presentation should mimic exactly my same presentation walking up on a major medical.
Absolutely.
Is it ventilating? Is it moving? And what's my bone structure look like? Am I going to be able to move it, or do I got to move to it?
Yeah.
And in the same way I would move my positions for patient care, if I've got to move my position for firefighting or for tactical EMS, any things that I'm able to do, man, here's the algorithm. Let's go.
Yeah.
And we pre-program that stuff for those correct rapid responses, and so anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah. Next question, just kind of keep trucking along with what we got. Yeah. Like we mentioned, we talked about, we've been talking about MAPC, and we met at Wichita. So obviously, we know the importance of it, but what is the best outside training that you have attended or taught at?
Golly, that I've attended, man, and I get to go to a lot of stuff. I'm so fortunate with that to go to things, man. To go to, there are so many awesome mid-sized conferences right now. So bang for buck, and I'll forget one. I'm gonna say a couple. You absolutely owe it to yourself to go and spend the time with Chief Isaacson. And any of the things he does, just the atmosphere, the amount of just tier one instructors in one place is phenomenal. And then you've got just the local stuff. I'll be at Great Lakes Hot here in a couple of weeks up in Michigan, and Sean Duffy. I get to teach with Sean with Build Your Culture. The amount of energy that's there, and it's a growing conference. It's right now, it's one of the only conferences in Michigan and in that part of the world. Phenomenal. And the Bears of the Oath stuff. I've been a part of several of those, and Shane and those guys, Dadgum has kind of grown off of that down in Texas. Texas is just blowing up with conferences right now. We've got Gone to Texas coming up in 2 weeks, I think. the For Them conference, First In, all the stuff that LJ and them and Mellon and them are doing through Kansas and Nebraska, the Les Lukert conference. Golly, to pick one that's been the most beneficial to me, I absolutely loved being with Sam Sparacella at Small Town Job Town. Man, I'm hard pressed to find the one, because at this stage of the game, I'm looking for different things. I'm looking. I'm collecting all the precious metals I can, it's the Labette County one over in Parsons, phenomenal class. And so, I know I threw a lot of them out there because they're all so fantastic. The Work Conference, hopefully it's coming back down in Austin through Lone Star Fools. Nick, Sawdust, Ancient City. Haven't been to either of those two yet, but man, knowing the guys that teach there, North Florida Fire Expo.
Yeah.
Golly. And what I like about those, you're starting to finally see in these conferences, they're going to teach you stuff and teach you specific ways, but they're going to look at what you're doing and start tailoring that. It's no more one size fits most. Here you go. Here's how to work a minute man or a triple, or here's how we throw ladders. Okay, here's a way to throw ladders. By the way, how are you throwing them? Okay, let's work with you. Because when y'all get back to, Beaver Dam, okay, that's got to be applicable to you. And it's got to be, if it can be, immediately put into action with little to no additional past the class. I was just thinking of one, it just escaped from me, that I was a part of. Golly, up in Sarnia, Mid-America. Mid-America Fools. I love working with those guys and gals. Next level on their ability to be relatable. And all those conferences I just mentioned, FDIC, obviously, if you can get to FDIC that week, is just so filled with things for 24 hours a day almost. You're around aspects of the brotherhood that you wouldn't normally be able to have access to. Yeah. And man, I'm going to go back in time. Probably one of the most influential ones I was a part of, 2003, 2004, Firehouse on the Road. They were traveling and doing all the stuff. And at that time, they had like the premier instructors traveling. And Butch Cobb, he was chief out of Jersey City, and Chief Crawford out of Pittsburgh. They did the class I took, and it was large area search, and then some USAR stuff, firefighter down stuff that was highly involved in technical rescue stuff. The 20 years later, that is some of my go-to stuff when I encounter problems. Dr. Munger at the National Fire Academy in Emmitsburg took his sprinkler class, week-long sprinkler, fire department protection systems class. When we show up on alarm calls, man, I'm immediately flipping to the Rolodex. Oh yeah, hey, look right over here. You'll find this valve. And they're like, how'd you remember that? I'm like, well, that's what it is. Fire protection systems are basically unchanged for 30 to 40 years now, and so you can become highly adept at that with that knowledge base and have it be applicable. And so, I know I didn't settle on one.
No, that's good. You gave a lot of good ones that hopefully people watch again, and even us, a lot of them that we've heard about and want to go visit. So hearing them again is a good one. It's hard to pick. It is very hard to pick. There's so many, like you said, which is a good problem to have. It's a really good problem.
Yeah.
And it's always the funniest thing. You go to like one conference, and like for us, for this last one at MAFC, we went to Atlanta. So like that's a trek for us. It was a whole big trip, not one that we can do, constantly. And we probably got told, oh, you better be at like 4 other conferences this year. It's like, bro, I'm already at this one. Like, I would love to. I would love to, but
you know, and it's difficult. And I'm fortunately unfortunate. You know, Dallas Fort Worth's so saturated.
Yeah.
You know, I will get my money together. I'll save my money up, and then kind of have it circle. You know, one conference will pay for the next conference, pay for the next, and I try to go to as many as I can. You know, and like I say, constantly looking for things. And then honestly, I look for things out there. You know, I ride out in Highland Park, Michigan, off and on throughout a year's time. Brian Bestinelli and I have become good friends through social media. Man, look for the things that are going to be district applicable. You know, I tell the story, the short version, if there is one. Everybody's laughing at home. One of my guys brought me a video. I'm watching the video. It's a Spanish tile, you know, somewhere SoCal or whatever, San Diego.
Yeah.
I watch the engine and truck placement. I watch them stretch, and then I kind of become disinterested. And he's like, hey, the cool part's coming up. I'm like, we don't have stucco and Spanish tile in our district. If I'm looking for stuff, okay, it's balloon frame construction, frame, you know, stuff built in the teens to the 50s. How are they combating that? And then I look personally for stuff. You know, there's 3 individuals. You know, we probably have 5 firefighters in my city right now, very similar to y'all. If they are sitting in the station, our second due engine is 15 minutes out.
Yeah.
You know, it is not John Wayne time. I don't say that anymore. It's go to work time. And second due engine gets there, and it's either burned down or burned out. Good on them. If we're still fighting fire at that point, you know, I showed up 45 minutes into a fire the other day, and there was still plenty of fire. I suited up and went in. You know, we had a commercial job. That thought's floating away. You get those guys and gals. Now, I was fortunate to be my dad make decisions with him and his chief. Okay, here's what we're going to do with 30, 40 people.
Yeah.
That has not been my experience.
Yep.
When I look at fires, man, I'm going to find a place like Highland Park, or like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Hey, Chief Bastinelli, you've had one extra guy show up. Where are you assigning him? And in a multi-division fire, is that guy going with your group to the cockloft? Because that lateral fire spread and that construction, those row homes, or is he going with search? Is he helping stretch out? Man, those 1 or 2, not that I wouldn't know what to do. I don't want to downplay that. I get 3 or 4 engines show up. Hey, we got 20 people. Where do you want them? Oh, wow. Okay. Well, give me a second to think about that. Okay. Can y'all split into 20 things? They're like, why would we do that?
Yeah.
Well, one engine showing up to do a 1-person job is exactly that. I need a 3-person engine, 4-person engine, 2-person engine, 2-person truck, whatever. Okay, both of you are going to step off in that initial attack phase. You're doing 1-person jobs. Jam on with that.
Yeah.
How is it not the expectation daily that you be able to do the physical agility we hired you in on? Damn it, you did that in less than
whole nother conversation. Yeah, that's
you did all those things in less than 5-6 minutes. Okay, I'll give you an extra minute. You did that entire fireground task in 7-8 minutes with all your gear on. Okay, where are we at on the fireground? Great. Force the door by yourself, stretch by yourself, throw a ladder by yourself. Hey, we got you an extra person. Oh, great. Okay, you take the ladder. I'm going to do these other 2 things. Your forcible entry becomes a 2-person job. Hey, set that down. Let's do this real quick.
Yeah.
You know, those transitions between those initial tasks, that's where we lose time. And the same boat y'all are in, depth. No, heck yeah. You start getting tired, that first bottle, second bottle, okay, it is nice to go out in the yard and there's 20 dudes and, you know, guys and gals standing there. Hey, we'll take it from here, brother. Oh, great. Hey, fire's on the left. Good luck. You know, we're in the Scott 5.5 snap changes now, so our bottle changes are like that. You know, my old ass body still remembers, okay, this should take a minute or 2. Let's relax for a second. Okay, fire's still right there. Okay, fire's now over here. You know, you're out and, you know, our support group outside, man, they're ready with bottles and they're snapping you back in. You're back in the fight almost immediately. It's a magazine change these days with some of the equipment. But anyways, another rabbit.
No, great. Where you got kind of go moving through everything. We're gonna go right to our closing question from the last guest, and then your idea with or your turn to come up with your own. So
Absolutely.
As we said, our last guest was Taylor of Taylor's Tins, and he's a great guy and a great character. And his question is, have you considered tins?
You know what? And I'm glad, and I have to take these back out of my wife's office. Yes. You know, and this is my everyday lid. And you can see it on there actually, and they're mirror clips. It's no level of OCD or anything, but when the holes are misaligned and all this and that, it drives me bonkers. So you see most of mine are clean, no holes. I've got those mirror clips on there. And then with my band, man, I'm able just to change out. And I'm fortunate enough, I get to, I don't wear this leather unless it's real fire. You know, and we didn't even talk about that. Live fire acquired. I do real structural burns for people. I've got a training leather that I still wear. So yeah, this is real jobs. This is my white lid. You know, and the playing cards, props to Taylor. Thanks for making that for me and Mellon. Shout out to Avery. So yes, I do tin. And then I've got a sea of leathers. Leather lives. So I'll never not be a fan of leather. You know, it takes on a life of its own.
Yeah.
But man alive, the magnificent work that Taylor's able to do so quick.
Oh my God. Talked, if you haven't listened to that one, we talked about, because it was such like, actually, like, you know, like we mentioned, and this just real time, this just came out yesterday.
Yeah.
But
I watched it. Yeah, I've already listened to it.
Yeah, just the culture that he had built, you know, and he didn't even, we were talking about before and after and everything. Like we were joking because he would like brush it off, or he didn't really think he did. Like the culture that he's created there, of all of that, I mean, the hard work and the dedication, the quick turnaround time. Like he's like, I don't think we have a culture. Yeah, you do.
100%.
You created one of the best ones ever, because it's ridiculous.
And
I texted him right after. We made an order, and it was like 4 minutes. 4 minutes was
he's showing you a proof. Hey, it's already in the mail, and
Jesus.
you know, and I feel bad about not being in it sooner. You know, the original metal stuff that started coming out. There's a group up, you know, around the Michigan area, Leatherhead Metals. I had this one done several years back, and I was worried about how they would degrade. And some of the original stuff that had come out, if you didn't take care of them, I mean, I don't want to say they were hand painted or nothing, but it was one step away from leather, you know, and there's some incredibly awesome craftsmen on the leather side. And like I said, I've burned most of mine up. The ability, you're almost surprised, almost disappointed if you go someplace, a conference, or if we're teaching someplace. You know, I've got my, you know, a couple of them from, you know, Great Lakes, you know, that Sean's made up.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, he turned around. This one's for 3M. You know, a deal. I'm able to burn. I burn for 3M on the regular, their product lines. His ability to give individuals a voice. You know, one of my young guys, he's like, hey, is this okay? He got on the page real quick, made one up that expresses him. It meets all of our parameters for it to be put that on your helmet. We're good with you wearing it. And, you know, and our guys gave all the guys that had kids this last year one. I had one made, and it's actually my proudest one.
I love the sound of just all the tins out there. If Taylor isn't happy hearing that,
absolutely. And hey, when he listens to it, and mine must be on the other part. My son and I got to fight fire together up in Oklahoma City at a class.
Oh wow!
And that's the bucket list. Being able to be with him, I got to do one class with my dad while he was still active, and you know, and so mine says father or dad on it. He is creating memories and nostalgia and And yeah, it cracks me up. He's like, a culture? No, absolutely. It will be so difficult for someone to, and maybe not replicate, because these days, anybody can replicate anything. His service mantra and ability through his staff, it is awesome to think that there will be people that don't even realize there was a time before Taylor.
Yeah.
And and like I say, not taking away anything from the leather workers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal what they're able to craft. But man, I love me some tins. Like I say, I wish I'd have been doing it way before I got into it. And I'm slowly working my way through the 10 of the month, going backwards to get them all. And so proud to know the majority of these guys whose shields I'm proudly wear and display.
No, it's so cool. Like the playing cards, everything. When we were down at MAPCs, some of the guys, there was actually a couple in the class, but one of the classes we were taking, I've got because I'm a nerd, so I've talked about like Star Wars and Pokemon. I got a Blastoise playing card from Taylor, one of the tins. And this dude came up to me. He's like, "Hey, I got to ask you a question." He's like, "Do you take that card out of your helmet before you go into a fire?" And I just popped it and gave it to him. Like, "It's a tin, brother." He's like, "What?" Like, he never heard of it. He was like, "That's so cool." And I gave him Taylor's info. And
what's neat, my one Avery. So Avery worked with Dave Mellon in his department. She unfortunately passed away, and we carry her card. And I've had several other ones. I've been given numerous as gifts and stuff. They've all fallen out or been someplace. And some of them I think are appropriate. A couple of them are in memoriam cards. And so for that person to still be in the fire, on the job, doing the stuff, I think is cool. Avery's just hung on. We take her with us every place we teach, every place I teach. We're kind of continuing on her career as if she had still been alive and with us. And that, like you say, that was, "Hey, Taylor, I need something real quick." Send him an idea. And like, before I got up, my phone's pinging. What do you think of this?
Yeah.
I'm like, is that on the display already? Well, we went ahead and made 2 or 3. We figured this is what you were wanting. I'm like, holy crap. I mean, and I'm super excited to hear what he was saying. The traveling stuff, the being out. I think we will be able to, we've got to realize we are a mobile industry. Sitting at the station waiting, that is not how you're going to get your stuff. Make sure people, whether it's a new engine, a new, whatever you need in your city, everything else in your city, people go to and people use. We are waiting for them to need us. So the fact that Taylor is going mobile, I can only hope he gets something like the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile or something. This huge tin.
It'll be a cup. It'll be a cup.
Exactly.
You make a cup mobile.
Absolutely.
There you go. There you go, Taylor. We're thinking for you.
Exactly. And, he makes it around the nation on his tour. Oh, my gosh, that's awesome. And we need to have these brotherhood events and sisterhood events with him to do these things. But, yeah.
Awesome. Well, like our final task or final question of the day is kind of up to you. So our next guest is Garrett G, and it's he's a really great guy. We're going to be really he is very near and dear to us. He was both Brennan and my Fire One instructor, and my God, has he found a way to, we talk about a lot that you go through Fire One, you go through all these state certs wherever you are, and you get on the job and they go, "Okay, forget everything that you just learned. We're going to teach you how it really is." He's figured out how to teach you how to really do it. And then right before the test, go, "Okay, pocket everything you just learned. Here's the little changes to make it, to get you to pass the test." And he's a great guy, really full circle moment for us. Really excited to have him on. So yeah, it's up to you. What question do you got for him?
Awesome. Well, no, and I'm glad I asked you. And so this one, and I love this question because I think he's going to be one of the voices that makes this happen. And y'all saw all the posting of the 2 in 2 out discussion that's coming out, and there's several other discussions that are about to happen nationally. Don't want to give anything away, but several friends of mine are working on some of these national discussions. So Garrett, you get the chance at your academy you're teaching at to take out 2 or 3 things of whatever you call it, basic fire academy, whether it's fire 1, fire 2, you can take out 2 or 3 things that you feel don't need to be in there. What are those things and why?
Wow.
And then the second part of that question, the remaining stuff you have, the academy gives you the opportunity to add days of specific instruction on 2 to 3 areas. What are those and why? I know what mine are. Can't wait to hear what yours are. I think, as I said, we are on the cusp of, my words, demanding that the book industry and the academies have got to start teaching basic fire as we need it. We're at such a shortfall of individuals. We have got to get them, as they're coming in the door, with a base level knowledge that is consistent, not only regionally, but across the nation, that we can get guys and gals in that are ready with very little work from us. They know left, right, up and down in our terminology, and they're ready to go start serving our citizens. And that is going to start with fantastic educators like Garrett and some of the guys y'all bumped into at MAFC and all the other ones out there. It's such an exciting time to be in the fire service. Podcasts like y'all's and many of the other ones out there that they're destroying challenging status quo. We're past challenging status quo. Y'all are destroying status quo. Here's what the expectation is for excellence. So proud to have been with y'all for the last hour. Can't wait till we see each other downrange. I hope it's soon.
Oh, absolutely,
And
start planning our training schedules for next year.
Yeah,
we're
absolutely.
gonna start looking at them. So, you mentioned a great point, and we're gonna. Now that I think about it, I didn't share it on our page, so I'm going to. But the 2 in, 2 out. For everybody listening, we're fortunate with this. This is a little later than we usually record, so this episode's going to be out in like a week and a half.
Okay.
So it'll still be current. I'll have it posted, so it'll just scroll down probably an episode, and it should be there on the page. Fill in the comment, send in the comment. Give your 2 cents on it. They need to hear it and look at Duffy and Ladine. There was a bunch of great names on that article. I may even share that one too, but. Yeah, if you haven't filled out a comment, I know a lot of people that that listen, or that it's been a big conversation. It was everywhere on Facebook in the last couple of days, so it's great. And we're really making a good change. Yeah, so we're trying to make a good change. At least speaking up and it takes an army. So make sure you send in those comments if you haven't. But yeah, that's a great question. I'm really excited to ask Garrett about that and to get his information on that or his ideas.
Absolutely, guys.
Awesome.
And, well, heck yeah. Well. Like I say, if y'all need anything ever out of me, any of the guys I run with, my proudest moment these days is to bump people into other individuals. Got to do it a couple of times at FDIC. People just sit there, just random strangers, just sitting down. Hey, what's the alligator in your pond? Oh, one lady was from Wisconsin. I was like, hey, Kyle Straight, JD, BJ, here's Peppered. And she's like, you just gave me their numbers. I'm like, no, they're solid dudes. They will help you.
Yeah.
Hey, Georgia, Florida. If we're not helping each other out, if we're keeping all this stuff to ourselves, man, we're going to fail.
Absolutely.
We give this stuff away freely because that's what we're called upon to do. So, man, great conversation, guys.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. It was a great hour, and I think we chased some good rabbits. So
I think so. Yeah, rabbit stew tonight. I don't know if we caught any of them, but we definitely chased a few.
Thanks for coming on. It's great having you.
Absolutely, guys. And like I said, y'all come on down to Texas. We're crazy busy. Or any of the places we're going to be at. Like I say, Gone to Texas is coming up. The For Them conference is in November. I'll be up at Great Lakes Hot for that week. That's the maybe second week in June.
Yep.
And then I will try to be anywhere in the nation where there's smoke and fire. And especially if it's in a real structure, I'm going to do my best to be there. My goal is before I retire, or before I check out of life, I want to burn in all 50 states in an acquired.
Yeah.
And I've gotten several. I'll have to look at the little map I've got going, but yeah, I've been in a lot of fire and love doing it. But heck yeah.
I felt that we couldn't dive into that. We may have to have you on next year. We're starting our guest list. We'll get you and talk about all about acquired. But I was happy with what we're all happy with what we got to talk about today. So
no, absolutely, same here, brother. Same here. Well, man, y'all be careful, and like I say, I hope there's smoke showing in y'all's life at some point.
Me too.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for taking the time. Thank you, David. It was great, and as always, don't be a shitbag.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Don't be a shitbag.